Hey there, YouTubers. This is Pete and Alice having another very great and very insightful conversation. And today's topic is validation. Validation. It's a kind of a small word, but it means a whole lot of different things on different levels. And so here we go. We're just talking about it. And do we need it? How do we get it? Why do we need it? And what do we do with it? So, Alice, what are you doing right now?
I am walking my diva, my queen of the castle,
All right.
and getting her exercise in and letting her smell every blade of grass, which is what she loves.
See, and I think, see, because of course I'm going to try to circle that back into validation, because the irony of that is, in some way, when you love your pet like that and you're taking him out, I have learned that he's a little person too. He's a little diva in himself. He has his needs and wants, and when I take him for a walk, instead of yanking him around saying, "Okay, we gotta go," I'm like letting him sniff the roses, and I'm kind of learning from him how to do that myself. That's validation. I'm validating his needs. So,
Well, I have never thought of it that way. And a year or so ago, I told a friend, I said, with my dog who passed away in 22, I said, I just let Josie lead the way. And my friend said, well, I've always heard you're supposed to be the leader, the master. And I said, yes, if I'm walking her for a purpose and we have a time limit. But if it's one of her 3 or 4 walks a day, I want her to be the leader. And if that's not okay with the books, then it's not okay. I feel good about it.
and see, that's such a great point right there because, with Caesar, I don't know his last name, I'm calling Caesar Romero, the dog whisperer, he was all about this domination thing. And I think you and I talked about that a little bit because my good new friend recommended a book and an author who writes about this, a dominant society versus a cooperative society. And it's very, very interesting point of view. And that's another part of human nature is this kind of dominant subordination thing, which can really get out of control. So, the funny thing here is that if you're a sensitive person and you're thinking about things like we do, then you're going to analyze these things and you're going to say, well, what does this mean or what should I do? Um, but we both kind of said in our opening how we validate our own dogs, and in reverse or in reciprocation, they validate us. You know, I if I was walking, well, I am talking to myself. Well, no, I'm talking to you right now. But if I was just walking around the house talking to myself, then I'd be walking around, talking to myself. If I have the dog, I'm talking to him. He agrees. You know what I mean? So
Exactly.
it's funny that way. They're sounding boards, and so kind of on the point of validation. Um, what I've found. Now you started before we started recording. You said something about your own sense of validation. So go ahead and start with that. Do you feel the need to be validated every time you think something or say something or do something?
No, and am, I had never even thought about it till you brought it up this morning. I believe the reason that I don't feel that way anymore, I used to, is because I'm much more connected to who I am now than I was in the past. In other words, I feel like I know myself more deeply. I don't rush into decisions. I'm not in a hurry as much. And so by the time I make a decision, if I'm in doubt, I'll ask someone I trust to, give me their opinion.
That's a
However,
big statement right there.
however, if I'm not in doubt and I feel like I've spent enough time thinking about it, checking it out with myself, and then waiting instead of being in a hurry, I don't feel like I need to check it out. But when in doubt, I definitely do check things out.
You know,
But
that's
validation, I think I check things out more than want them validated.
okay. All right.
I don't know if that makes sense, but
Well, it does. And what doesn't make sense is that I have to stop the tape and start it again because I just don't want to lose this stuff. I want to have segments instead of losing it. So I'm going to stop the recording and then I'm going to start it again. I'll tell you when I start it again. Stop.